Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We are here to talk about GAgives, and we are here to talk primarily about peer-to-peer fundraising as a strategy that your organization can take advantage of as a part of your GAgives campaign this year. My name is Bethany. I am the Vice President of Community Engagement here at Mightycause, and I have been working with the GAgives campaign for the last 3 years, I believe, maybe 2 years, can't remember, but for the last couple of years. And we're also joined today by Taylor Link, who is here from the Georgia Center for Nonprofits. She will be chiming in a little bit later with some more really helpful, useful information for you all when it comes to creative content for your peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. And she and I will both be here for questions at the end. So any questions you have either for Mightycause or for the Georgia Center for Nonprofits, who is the organization that puts this wonderful campaign on every year, just letting you know that we are both here for today's webinar. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So a quick agenda, what you can expect that we'll cover today. We're going to start with some of the basics of peer-to-peer fundraising, what you need to know, how to make the most of it as a part of GAgives. We'll go through some examples campaigns to hopefully give some inspiration for how your nonprofit might be able to make it work depending on your audience, your goals, etc. We'll focus on how to add peer-to-peer to your GAgives campaign, some specific platform how-tos so that you know how and where to access specific tools on the platform. And then finally, we'll be turning it over to Taylor, who's going to go over some great creative that the Georgia Center for Nonprofits has prepared to make your campaign a little bit easier. And we will end with a Q&A. So as I mentioned earlier, please feel free to type into the Q&A section on your Zoom control panel at any point throughout the webinar. We will leave some space at the end to cover any questions. So starting with just the basics, what is peer-to-peer fundraising? What is it all about? And why should your nonprofit choose to take advantage of it? This is a busy time of year. It only gets busier as we get to the end of the year. And I know your nonprofit might be thinking, we have enough to do when it comes to planning our basic campaign for GAgives. We can't really add anything new. It doesn't feel like it's worth adding anything new. So that's our goal, to help you understand why and how it can be helpful to consider adding peer-to-peer. So for any of you who aren't super familiar with the concept, there's lots of different variations on what peer-to-peer fundraising is and how it can look. But when you really boil it down, it is a technique that takes advantage of your existing donor and supporter base and uses their network to help bring in new donors, new donations. And so this is really something that would complement your traditional campaign for GAgives Day. You would still have your own emails, your own profile page on the platform that you're building out, but you can empower one or a group of your supporters to create their own fundraising pages that collect donations on behalf of your organization. So that's, again, just super high level. What is it all about? There are lots of benefits to peer-to-peer fundraising. The most obvious is often the ability to open up new channels for donor acquisition. Your donor database is what it is right now. You have a universe of existing donors that you can contact, that you have emails for. If you can tap into a small subset of that donor base and allow them to reach out to their network, that's a whole new set of donors that you don't have contact information for as of today. You couldn't reach those donors without these individuals. So that's just super, super basic. You have the ability to reach new donors, which is, of course, one of always the most important goals of a fundraising campaign, especially like GAgives Day. It will allow you to have more boots on the ground. So as I mentioned, Peer-to-peer fundraising will be a complement to your existing strategy for Georgia Gives Day. You'll still have your traditional fundraising campaign, most likely. And this just expands that. It gets more people out there spreading the word about your nonprofit, more people serving as ambassadors for your cause in the community across the state, specifically asking for donations. Something that doesn't always get focused on as a benefit is the ability to deepen the relationship with that handful of supporters that you were able to get to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser. When you look at kind of the journey, the stewardship journey of a donor who starts, attending an event or expressing some interest, following you on Facebook or social media, then they come to an event, then they donate, maybe they become a recurring donor, and they're kind of moving along this journey to more engagement with your organization. Creating a peer-to-peer fundraiser is another step on that journey. They sort of feel like the inner circle of your nonprofit, so they develop a deeper connection with your organization that you can use to build on for the future. So just sort of a visual representation of why peer-to-peer is valuable and what it looks like, what it works like, is just putting more individuals out there between your nonprofit and the community at large, so that they are, whether you have 1, 2, 5, 10 peer-to-peer fundraisers, you're opening up your message, your nonprofit, to this community, all hopefully leading to more donors and more dollars for your organization. So taking advantage of this on GeorgiaGives.org is meant to be as simple as we could possibly make it. That's how we try to look at it. So the goal really is identify supporters that you think are a good fit to fundraise for you. It won't be your whole network of donors by any means, but there are likely a handful. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of that type of prospecting later on, but you ask your supporters to fundraise for you. On your organization's profile page on GeorgiaGives.org, there's a big button on your page that says fundraise. They click on that button and it takes them through a creation wizard that makes it easy for them to set up their fundraiser, publish their page, and then from November 1st onward, when early giving opens for Georgia Gives this year, they start asking for donations. We'll talk a little bit more about some other things that you can do to make it even easier for them on the onboarding flow, but it really is as simple as send them to your organization's page, they click on that fundraise button, create their page, and they're good to go. One of the reasons that peer-to-peer fundraising can be such a useful activity to add into your Georgia Gives campaign is that any funds that you raise, any dollars that are brought in by peer-to-peer fundraisers, any unique donors that come in from peer-to-peer fundraisers, all roll up into your nonprofit organization's totals for Georgia Gives Day. So if there are any prizes, leaderboards, power hours, etc., activity from your peer-to-peer fundraisers helps to make your organization more competitive for that. Not to mention that it helps you raise more money and engage more donors, but that makes, as a part of this campaign, gives your organization more opportunity to win some of those prizes. All of the donations will come into your organization's donations report, so you will have full visibility into any donations made via these pages, and they're all dispersed directly to your nonprofit. So there's no funds going to these peer-to-peer fundraisers. It's all sent directly to your organization. And really, for the individual fundraiser themselves, their goal is to customize their page, tell the story about why they support your organization, why they want to fundraise for your organization, and send that page to their friends and family. That's really as simple and as complicated as it is for them. So now that we've talked about some of the basics, we're going to transition into some example campaigns. First, talking more generally, and then sharing some specific examples we've seen on the platform in the past to give your organization some inspiration on what might work for you. every organization is going to have a slightly different approach to peer-to-peer fundraising. What makes sense for one organization may not make a ton of sense for your organization. So really the goal here is not to say you have to have a campaign that looks exactly like this, but to get your mind spinning with some potential ideas that you can then take and customize to your unique mission, your unique audience of supporters, etc. So on the platform, on the GAgives platform that partners with Mightycause, there's 3 different types of peer-to-peer fundraiser pages that can be created. And it's always helpful in my mind to start with a quick explanation of the 3 different types so that you don't get confused later on in the process when you're trying to figure out what really makes sense for your organization. And it's all kind of following a hierarchy. So I'm starting to the simplest type of page and moving up the hierarchy to more complex and more comprehensive type of campaign, depending on how you're going to use it. So the very first is just an individual peer-to-peer page or a fundraiser page on the platform. That is any individual, one individual creating a page that's connected to your nonprofit. They have a goal, they can add an image, they can add a story. It's a single page connected to your nonprofit's page. The next layer, sort of up the hierarchy, if you will, is a team fundraising page. And a team fundraising page is basically a group of fundraisers. So you still have each individual having their own dedicated, unique page that they can customize, tell their story, and share with their audience. But you've also added a team page that sort of collectively brings those individual fundraising efforts together so that now you have one place where you can say, we have 5 peer-to-peer fundraisers and they've raised $10,000 from 50 donors overall. So not every campaign will need or benefit from a team page. But if you have multiple individuals that are going to be starting peer-to-peer fundraisers for you, you may want to consider having a team page so that you have a place that you can collectively see the impact, but you can also share the collective impact both internally with your staff and publicly with supporters, what is being raised by these group of peer-to-peer fundraisers. The highest level of hierarchy in the platform is an event page. And an event page has a lot of similar functionality to the teams in that the goal is to bring a number of peer-to-peer fundraisers together under a larger umbrella. The difference with events is that in an event, you can have both teams of individuals and individuals fundraising. So easiest example in my mind is looking at a school. And a school can create an event fundraiser. And each of the different grades is a team. So the first grade team, the second grade team, the third grade team. And then under the first grade team, there's 10 students that have an individual fundraising page, or 3 different classes that have their own individual fundraising pages. So an event may not be necessary for what you're planning for GAgives. That typically is more helpful when you're doing a walkathon or some kind of a larger event where you think you're going to need those multiple layers of individuals and groups fundraising together under your campaign. There are definitely lots of cases where events are helpful, and it really just depends on how you are envisioning your campaign and where you feel there will be extra added benefit from collective pages kind of bringing people together. So hopefully that's a helpful, quick explanation. We do also have more information on the platform to help distinguish between what you're looking to set up, if a team is the right choice or an event is the right choice or an individual fundraiser. But we're going to walk through some examples, and each example I will remind you what type of campaign it is. So some of the most common types of campaigns that we see for peer-to-peer are charity walks, marathons, walkathons, bikeathons. Very common way for nonprofits to get individuals interested and willing to fundraise is if that individual is participating in some kind of activity that they feel gives them the opportunity to ask for donations from their social network. Birthday fundraisers, wedding fundraisers, holiday gift fundraisers, they're all sort of the same concept. An individual can choose that instead of birthday present, instead of wedding gifts, instead of gifts for the holiday, they create a fundraising page and ask their supporters to give donations to your cause in honor of their special day. Campaign add-on. This is sort of how I was suggesting you may want to use peer-to-peer fundraiser as a part of your GAgives campaign. You will likely also still have your own fundraising campaign. You'll have your profile page. You'll send emails to your existing donor base trying to activate them. But you can amplify your traditional efforts by creating a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign that just supplements what you're doing. Of course, giving days, giving events, that's really what the GAgives campaign is all about. And so because you have this overall structure of GAgives Day happening on November 30th, but early giving starting through the month of November, it gives you the opportunity, it gives you a specific opportunity to engage peer-to-peer fundraisers because you need their help for GAgives. Finally, one of the most common that I always recommend, because I think almost any nonprofit can make this last type of campaign a success, is a board fundraising challenge. Just about every nonprofit out there should have a board of directors. Every board is different. Some are more of an advisory capacity, some are more active, some are more passive. So you know your audience, you know your board members best, but a central goal of your board is to serve as an ambassador for your cause in the community and to help raise money. And so a board fundraising challenge is a really great opportunity to help give them a chance to live their mission as a board member. So we'll talk a little bit more. I'll share an example campaign, but I definitely encourage you to consider your board as one of the primary audiences that you will engage to start a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Okay, so some example campaigns. Fundraise-a-thon. I talked about this a little bit already, but there's really so many different ways that your organization could take this a-thon concept. On the platform over the years, we've seen art-a-thons, like this example here, write-a-thons, read-a-thons, swim-a-thons, dance-a-thons, yoga-thons, really whatever is meaningful or interesting to your nonprofit. Maybe it's not directly connected to your mission, but you think your audience of supporters might get excited to participate in it. Because GAgives is already a 24-hour campaign, you sort of have an existing structure where you can create some kind of activity that happens during that 24 hours. How many pages can somebody read in that 24 hours? How many hours can they dance? How many hours of yoga can they do? Whatever, how many miles can they walk? Lots of different ways to take it. But again, it's just something that gives the donor fundraiser an ability to talk about what they're doing, why they're doing it. And it's kind of a unique hook that can catch the attention of their friends and family when they're asking for donations. And it's fun. It's a nice way to add some fun into the fundraising campaign. You also have the ability with lots of different teams and events, but especially something like this, you could look at getting a corporate sponsor to sponsor your campaign. So you get the extra added benefit of sponsorship money as an additional donation to spur on your campaign. Or maybe they're providing a prize for the winning fundraiser. Something that we'll come back to a couple of times in today's webinar is the importance of considering some type of incentive structure for any individuals that choose to fundraise on your behalf. Of course, donors are not getting benefits in response to their gift because they're all making tax deductible gifts, but you can certainly think of what incentives you might be able to offer any individual fundraisers to help get them excited, to help keep them engaged throughout the campaign. So maybe it's just a restaurant gift card for the fundraiser that raises the most dollars or has the most unique donors. It could be a t-shirt, it could be a free personalized tour of your organization, location, for example, if that makes sense for your organization. But this is a place that you can consider engaging a sponsor potentially. This fundraise-a-thon concept is typically best served with a team or an event page. So if you just have a bunch of individuals, that will be a team page. If you have groups of individuals, for example, you have a group of employees participating, you have a group of volunteers participating, you have a group from one of your corporate partners participating, you have a group of board members participating. In that case, you'd want to create an event so that you can have teams and then individual pages under those. So the next is an individual fundraiser. We talked a little bit about this before, but a holiday or birthday gift fundraiser. Because GAgives falls right after Thanksgiving, right sort of at the kickoff of the holiday gift giving and gift buying season, you do have the opportunity to see if any of your fundraisers want to create a holiday type fundraiser as a part of your GAgives campaign. As I mentioned already, this can be an easier entry point for fundraisers that maybe haven't done this in the past. They might feel a little nervous asking for donations from their friends under a different circumstance, but because it's the holidays, they feel like they have this opportunity to say, hey, instead of a holiday gift this year, show support for my favorite nonprofit. And if you do have any individuals taking you up on this type of campaign, you can do something fun where you offer to write personal holiday cards to donors that give by this fundraiser, or maybe you create and give a stack of real handwritten, or hand printed holiday cards that your fundraiser can then use to send to the donors that gave to them. Lots of different options there, but of course, if it's tied into the holiday, however, you can kind of bring that message back and connect for the donors that gave this holiday gift to your nonprofit. You can really make the most of this. Also, the GAgives platform is available all year round, of course. Our primary goal right now is talking about how to make a success of your GAgives campaign. But if somebody starts a fundraiser like this, they can continue to accept donations all the way through the end of the year. So as it gets even closer to the holiday season, they can continue fundraising this way if you'd like to encourage them to do that. Of course, all the funds that they raise any time of year will still be sent directly to your nonprofit. And this would be an individual fundraiser page. Board fundraising challenge, as I already mentioned, this is typically set up as a team or an event. Team is probably more common because if you have, 5, 8, 10 board members, you likely don't need subgroups within those board members. So I'd probably recommend a team page, although either can work. And again, your board really is central to the fundraising mission of your nonprofit. So giving them the opportunity to participate in something specific like this makes the requirements very clear and easy for them to understand. Some of your board members may want to fundraise, but not know exactly how or what's the right way or when they should do it. So this is very clear. You can create fundraising pages for each of your board members if you'd like to do that, or you can take advantage of a tool on the platform to create a fundraiser template. So it basically pre-fills all of the content on their page for them. And all they have to do is click a few buttons to publish their page and start raising money. And because this is a group that already has sort of this connection with each other, you can have some fun, competitive, friendly competition, of course, but fun, competitive angle, and use this page as a place for the board to kind of work together to collaborate and compete to see who can raise the most for your nonprofit. Another great idea as a part of a board fundraising challenge, if you do have them create a team or event, is to encourage the board to offer a matching grant for any donations given through their board fundraising challenge page. So let's say you have 5 board members, they're each going to start their own fundraiser page. And maybe on top of that, they're each willing to donate $1,000 to a match. You can either allow each individual board member to add $1,000 match to their personal fundraising page, or you can pool their match together so that any donations to any of the board fundraising pages up to $5,000 will be matched. A great way to really make the most out of your board's participation in Giving Tuesday. Photo contest. This is just kind of another fun example. We've seen lots of different organizations do this in slightly different ways, whether it's fundraising to set up a calendar or a t-shirt or design competitions. But basically, you create a team and a team or event, and each page participating is one of the contestants, if you will, and any donation that they get counts as a vote. So in this example here that we've seen, a dog rescue has been very successful doing this over and over again. They set up, 10 or 12 different images of dogs, and whoever gets the most donations gets the most votes and sort of wins the competition, if you will. So really, it's just sort of a fun twist. This may not work for every nonprofit. Of course, your audience, your messaging. But if you do have the opportunity to insert some kind of fun participation and engagement from your donor base, this is a fun way to make that happen. So now that we have hopefully started to create some sparks of inspiration for what you might want to do with your peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, we're going to shift to talking about how you can actually add it to your campaign and technically on the platform, what we need to do. So first, planning and preparing for your peer-to-peer campaign. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, but the first step is to identify peer-to-peer fundraisers and get them involved. And typically, this is not something that you're just going to post on social media and open up to the public and have a ton of people just go out of their way to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser. You're going to have to do some prospecting and identifying who is really the right fit within your network to create a fundraiser. And most likely, they will need a direct personal ask from your nonprofit to take this additional step. So we've already talked a lot about board members. They are always one of my very top recommendations. Everyone should consider asking your board. Next down the list, volunteers and staff members. We know that organizations participating in Georgia Gives Day are all shapes and sizes. Some are all volunteer run, some are larger and have a big staff of employees to tap into. Either way, you have this sort of network of internal people that are committed to your organization. They've shown over time, whether through their employment or their volunteer efforts, that they're committed and interested in the work that you do. So consider how you can get them involved. Recurring donors, they've already gone out of their way to tell you that they love the work that you do and they care about your mission. So this is a great opportunity to allow them to be a part of your success. And then finally, depending on the type of work that you do, the audience that you serve, there may be other individuals, either alumni of your programming that have seen firsthand the value and the success and the impact of the work, maybe family members of those that have been served by your programming, or people that have served, people that have been directly impacted. Again, each nonprofit is going to have a slightly different slightly different opinion of who makes sense to contact, but these are just a few of the audiences that most nonprofits will have that you can consider tapping into. Talked a little bit about incentives earlier. Oftentimes, we can hear that people are intimidated by the need to have incentives, and they don't have a lot of money. They don't want to pay or support big expensive incentives because they just don't have that. And you will be surprised how far something like a mug or a t-shirt or a $25 Amazon gift card, for example, can go in getting somebody excited. It's really more the concept. People are competitive in nature, and they love the opportunity to win anything, even if the actual dollar value of that incentive isn't that high. So think about what you might already have in your arsenal, or consider using this as an opportunity to engage local restaurants or local businesses that you've been trying to connect with in the past. This gives them a concrete way to participate that maybe isn't a cash donation, a good way to build a relationship with some of those local businesses. We've talked about this already, but consider how the peer-to-peer campaign is going to tie into your larger fundraising campaign. How can you make sure that the messaging of what you need to accomplish, what you're trying to raise, the impact of your nonprofit, how can you make sure that that is still visible, that is still consistent within this peer-to-peer campaign, and you're just having individual ambassadors out there in the community helping spread that message. And then I always encourage some kind of a kickoff meeting, can be a Zoom call, can be a Facebook Live, whatever works for your audience, but something to get, once you do have these individuals that have committed to fundraise, something to share information, answer questions for them if they maybe think it's fun, they're excited to do it, but they're not really sure what it's going to involve for them. They're not really sure how much commitment, how much time, or what support they'll get from you or the platform. And it can also serve as a chance to get them inspired, get them excited, show them that they're part of something bigger. They're a part of a group of people, and they won't feel like they're alone trying to figure out how to fundraise for the first time, all on their own. So kind of the next stage in your planning process is preparing and communicating primarily with these fundraisers. So I'll show you in a moment where on the platform you can go to create a fundraiser template, but this is one of the best things that you can do to make this process easier for anyone that's willing to be a fundraiser for your organization. You can create a template page for them that pre-fills everything that they need to actually have a published page. So you cut down their time considerably on the onboarding. We also encourage you to create and share a fundraising toolkit. And this can be as simple or as involved as you prefer. But these people that are creating peer-to-peer fundraisers for you are likely not professional fundraisers like you are. Maybe they've never fundraised before. Maybe they've never asked for a donation before, so they may not know where to start. And so if you create a couple of sample emails, a couple of sample social media posts, give them a couple images of your nonprofit that kind of really tell a powerful story about the work that you do, make sure they have your nonprofit's logo. That way, they won't feel intimidated. They won't feel like they have to start from scratch and figuring out, how do I word this email to ask for my friends to give money? I've never done this before. You just make it easier for them. And then you can also consider providing a few fundraising tips, encouraging them to call, who should they call? Who should they email? When should they post on social media, etc. And you don't have to make this big, massive undertaking that adds a lot of time for your team, but taking the time to prepare something like this ahead of time will likely ensure that all of your individual fundraisers can be that much more successful during the process. And lastly, make sure that you designate a point person from your internal team to be in charge of communicating with these fundraisers throughout the process. Maybe that's you, maybe there's another person on your team. Of course, Depends on the size of your team and how you all are splitting up the work of this year's Georgia Gives campaign. But they can be the point person. So if a fundraiser has questions, they know who to go to, and they can be in charge of sending emails throughout the campaign in the lead up to kind of get them excited, keep them engaged, share the progress of what your organization has been able to do and what you're hoping to raise as a part of the overall campaign. So actually, once you are in the platform, in the Georgia Gives platform, when you are on your nonprofit's dashboard, this is sort of an image of what you can see on your nonprofit's dashboard. Down the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all the different top-level items of things that you can manage, tools that you can access through your nonprofit's account with Georgia Gives. In order to manage and start any peer-to-peer fundraisers, you want to go to the Fundraising Tools folder. So it's the fourth item down on your dashboard. And once you open that up, it's the very first box that you'll see in the top left of the Fundraising Tools page. And you'll want to click on Campaigns. And from there, you have the ability to create a campaign. So for example, if you've decided that you're going to create a teamed page, that then individual board members are going to create an individual fundraiser page associated with that, you can do that right from the Create New Campaign button in the top right-hand screen that you can see here. You'll also have the ability to download any reports. So if you do have a bunch of individuals that create fundraising pages for you, here's where you can see the details about their fundraisers. You can see some of the key details right here on the screen, the campaign's name, what type of a campaign it is, how much they've raised, when did they create it, when did they last come in to edit it, and who is the owner. You can download this report here, right next to that Create New Campaign button at the top. There is an option to download. That will give you all the data you need to know about their fundraising page. And then on those three little dots on the far right-hand side of each row of this table, that gives you the opportunity to view a fundraiser's page. You can email the fundraiser. You can hide an old page. Perhaps you had some people start fundraisers for you last year and you want to go ahead and hide those because they aren't relevant anymore. Or if you need to delete any campaigns, you can do all of that sort of campaign peer-to-peer management right here through the campaign screen in Fundraising Tools. I've mentioned the fundraiser template a few times before. This is available through your nonprofit's dashboard, also in that Fundraising Tools folder on your dashboard. It is another one of those boxes, another one of those items that you'll see. If you're creating a team or an event fundraiser, you also have the ability to create a template directly as a part of that. But let's say you choose this year, you want to keep it slightly simpler. You're not interested in a team page. You just want to create, invite a couple of close individuals to start a fundraiser page. In that case, you'd want to create a fundraiser template right through your main nonprofit dashboard. And from there, as I mentioned already, you are pre-filling all of the required fields to make their fundraiser able to be published. So you can create a title for them, you can set a goal for them, you can add an image for them, you can add a short description and a longer description. And so what this does is this, along with the toolkit that I've mentioned earlier, it helps to make sure that your individual fundraiser isn't trying to come up with their own version of how to talk about the work that your nonprofit does. You can add some of the boilerplate information that you already have about your nonprofit, the work that you do, how you talk about your mission, and same with a photo as well. Maybe they don't have a great photo of your nonprofit's work. They could always add a personal photo of themselves if they'd like, but it might be helpful if it already starts with a photo of your organization's work. Now, last thing I'll mention here on this template, there is a video available on the nonprofit toolkit that walks you through how to set up a fundraiser template on your page. So if you think that this is something that you're going to want to take advantage of, go check out the nonprofit toolkit. And it'll be just slightly more of an in-depth walkthrough of exactly how you get that set up. And now we are going to turn it over to Taylor from Georgia Center for Nonprofits, who is going to share her screen and talk to us a little bit more about some of the great creative assets that GCN has created to help make your campaign a success.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Okay, go share my screen. Okay, I'm gonna log. Continue. Sorry, we're just searching for the right screen. Can you all see that?
I can see it.
Okay, great. I have like a few windows open, so I'm kind of multitasking, but it's important. Just to introduce myself, my name is Taylor. I am the digital marketing specialist for Georgia Center for Nonprofits, and I'm on the GAgives team. So we already kind of went through why a P2P campaign is such a great resource or a great option for organizations for GAgives. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about the creative side of your campaign. So an important aspect of any P2P campaign or any campaign is having creative that really draws the attention of your supporters, or having creative that your P2P fundraisers can share on their social media or by email if that's their choice, anything that helps draw attention to your campaign. So all the graphics I'm about to go through with you are available on georgiagives.org on our graphics page, which is under the little nonprofit tab. And if you click those, it'll bring you to a template that you can edit. So I want you to think of everything that I show you today as sort of a jumping off point, right? I've put our logo on it. I've used our colors, but I want you guys to take that and to use your colors, to use your brand images, your logos, and really kind of make it yours. Like, what is your campaign? So the tool that I'm using right now is Canva. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with it. It's just a really great resource for people who maybe are just getting started with graphic design, but it's also great for seasoned pros who are a little bit more comfortable. It's free to create a personal account, and nonprofits are eligible to apply for a free nonprofit Canva Pro account through the Canva website. So the first post I want to share with you is what we call a gamification post. So this post features the popular thermometer tool that illustrates to supporters the amount that you have raised versus kind of the amount you still need to reach your goal. It's a great day of post because it kind of presents a sense of urgency. And then your supporters can see the result of their efforts in real time. So anytime that you someone makes a donation and it's significant, you can see this little number rise up, which is great for getting people motivated to hit that goal. So I just wanted, before we go any further, I wanted to introduce to you our new GAgives 2021 logo. This is really special and we're so excited. It was designed by local artist and Georgia native Dusty Kramer, and he has a website and an Instagram, and you can look at all his stuff. But we're so happy to have it, and we have a few little different versions of things you can do with it. But just wanted to introduce that to you now, and you guys are the first to see it, so we're excited. So this is the little sliding bar tool. So when I talked about having something that shows the percentage, you can take this and slide it to whatever you want, whether you hit 87% of your goal, slide it to 87. You can play with the line weight, make it a little smaller or bigger. You can change the color. You can even change how it looks. You can make it, that looks bad, but you can make it a progress ring. You can make it a progress bar, whatever you want, whatever works for you. So this is just a really great tool to use to kind of keep your supporters engaged day of. So I'm going to navigate to my folders now go back to my P2P content, and we're gonna go to social frames. Okay. So some of these frames are gonna be uploaded, oh, what did I do? Onto Facebook. But you can always edit the templates and upload them to Facebook yourself. So, and all of these frames are customizable on Canva. Hold on, I just want to make sure that I'm able to edit this when I get to you guys. Please forgive me. Okay, so the first one I want to go through is this little Facebook cover. I'm going to go edit original. Okay, so start off, this is, of course, goes above your profile picture. You can use it, your individual supporter can use it for their page, you can use it for your page, but everything in this is totally customizable. I used our kind of yellow and our peach and our blue, but this could be your brand colors. Any of these photos, this is a great place to display some of the photos that are relevant to your mission. And if you don't have any photos and you do need to use stock photos, a pro Canva account has all these great stock photos for you to use. Go right to photos, all of this. I mean, it goes on forever. The same with graphics. I use these little paw prints because we're talking about animals in this post, but you can take these little leaves and pop them on and change the color to whatever you feel best tells your story. I put in our little GAgives logo, but Canva also has a great place for that. It's this little logo button, and you can keep all your logos here for really easy access. And then here's another great thing about Canva is that you can edit an image and you can remove the background so that you don't have this like white background on your design. So you just take that and you do the background remover and it'll take care of that for you, which used to be kind of a very tricky thing. So I was very happy when this came around, saved me, and I know it'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so now I'm going to move to kind of the another section of folder. So we're moving into what I kind of call cause awareness. So these are great posts for your fundraisers to share, to bring awareness to your campaign, or really like their involvement in your campaign. So I'm gonna go to this guy. Okay, so this is just, I call it, you know, beat my goal, kind of a little bit of a rally cry for your supporters, get people engaged. So I wanted to talk a little bit more. I said previously that you can change your brand colors or your organization's colors. So I have our blue and green, our GAgives blue and green. But as you can see here, I have our GCN colors and I have our GAgives colors right here. So this is something that you can do. You can add a palette. So when you're going through and designing your campaign and things that you want to share with your P2P participants, you don't have to work so hard. You can put all your little brand colors right here. So we have it blue right now, but we can change this to red. We can change this green to peach, anything that you have. It just makes it a little bit easier on you. And if you have additional team members who are working on creative, you can save these as team colors so that everybody has the same palettes to work with. Another really cool thing is that all these posts can be turned into video. So we have a lot of information that says that video sometimes performs better on social media. So you can take this and you can animate it. And you can, you know, make it go like that or just add a little bit of movement, and then you would save that as an MP4 video, or I always say this word wrong. I think it's GIF. You can save it as GIF, and then, or GIF maybe, I don't know. And you can actually throw that in an email, which is really, really great if that's for you. But these work great as just little videos on your Facebook. Another thing I wanted to talk about was these great text options that Canva has. So right now I have this one going, but they have all of these And I think this is just a great way to add a little bit of freshness to your campaign, draw a little bit of attention, maybe a pop of color. It's really up to you, but these are great tools that I feel that people, you should be taking advantage of. Okay, so moving on. Oh wait, actually, there was one more thing in there that I wanted to show you. Forgive me. So I actually wanted to show you guys this post because we were talking a little bit about animation and kind of lead me to think about advertisements, if that's something that you guys are have the funds to do and have the means to do. This, a post like this would actually make a really great advertisement because it has a call to action on it. So this is great as a post as is, but if you put this in the Facebook ad studio or even a boosted post, this would work really well. Another little thing is that any of these, anytime you see a little circle on these templates, you can drag and drop your logo right in there. I mean, this is a little off center, so I would definitely edit that, but all of these are so easily customizable. Okay. All my folders, my P2P content. Okay, so next up is physical mailers and posters. So for this, I wanted to show you guys quickly a little bit of our save the date template. So you would say, here we go. This is great. Canva is also a great resource that you can use to create some physical physical things that you can distribute to your supporters. So you, to make this a postcard, you would select print postcard right on this right-hand side. And then you could pick whether you want a smaller or a larger version, everything but from the type of paper you want to use. And then you can order that and have it delivered right to your organization for you guys to distribute. And you can use this for anything. Canva has a lot of great sticker templates that you can use to create great little stickers to hand out. Or you can, Bethany was talking about mugs, all of that. Canva is a really great resource for creating some of those items. But yeah, so here is a little sticker to give you an idea of what that would look like. You can see that right there. So just, again, super, super easy, super customizable. And all of this stuff, again, is on our GeorgiaGives.org site under nonprofits, under the graphics page. You're gonna click on them and it'll take you to an editable template that you can use to create all different types of things. And I just wanna reiterate that this is just a jumping off point. It's really what you do with it. But I think it's a great tool. So yeah, that is all I have to share for creative with you guys.
Thank you, Taylor. Lots of really great stuff. I know I wish every Giving Day partner that we worked with created all those kinds of graphics for the participating nonprofits, because I think those are all really amazing things that can help every participating nonprofit, whether you choose to have peer-to-peer as a part of your campaign or not. That can really help make your graphics stand out without adding a ton of extra time and burden to your team. So really exciting stuff. Definitely make sure you go to the nonprofit resources on GeorgiaGives.org so that you can make the most of all of those Canva resources. So we just have a couple of questions that have come in a few more minutes before our time is up. So I'm going to go through those pretty quickly. The first question is, do we as the organization create a team page before or after individuals fundraisers join our cause? Really great question. I think the simplest solution is, if you know you want to have a team page, you start and create your team page. Once you create that team page, you can send that directly to any individuals that you want to join that team. There is also a feature within that team page in the management tools that you have access to where you can directly invite any supporters. So you can enter their email in the settings and it will send them a direct email, giving them the link that they need to quickly join your team. So I definitely recommend first creating your team page, and then from there, it will be easier for your individual fundraisers to know how and where they can join to participate. Next question, if we signed up with GCN, do we automatically have access to a Mightycause account to access this info? Great question. If you have a nonprofit profile on GeorgiaGives.org, that is your Mightycause account. So Mightycause partners with GCN, who hosts GeorgiaGives.org. If you have access to your nonprofit's profile on GeorgiaGives.org, you are set to go. If you do not yet have access to your nonprofit's profile, or you're not sure if you do, you can go to GeorgiaGives.org and search for your nonprofit in the search. And from there, you can request to claim admin access. If you register for this year's Georgia Gives campaign, that is another way that you can make sure that you or whoever on your team needs access gets gets the admin access they need to manage your nonprofit's account on the Georgia Gives platform. And the last question here is, I'm going to throw this over to you, Taylor, after I read it out. Do you have a preference for which logo we use, the newer one or the one with the crosshatched heart?
So no, I don't think that we have a preference. We understand that the newer logo doesn't work for every single image that you want to throw it on. So I think anything that you feel works with what you're trying to create and looks the best, that's what we want you to use. Do we love the new logo? Yes. Do we want everybody to see it? Yes. But again, we're totally fine with you guys using any logo that works.
Great. That was the last question. So just two more things that I'll point out before we let everyone go for the day. The recording to this webinar will be posted on the Nonprofit Toolkit. So make sure that you go to that toolkit and you can access this recording. And then finally, reminder to register for this year's Georgia Gives. If you have not yet, there is a dedicated registration form to sign up to tell GCN that you are participating in this year's event. Even if you've participated in the past, we ask everybody to complete this short registration form each year. That's how GCN knows who is eligible for what prizes and who is interested in participating in their media campaign. So if you go to GeorgiaGives.org, you'll see a big button at the top that allows you to register. Click on that button and you'll be taken to the registration form. Last question that just popped up, where is the nonprofit toolkit? It is on the Georgia Gives website. So if you go to GAgives.org, you'll see a menu bar, and one of the items on that menu bar is nonprofits. You click on that, you'll see a couple of different resources that pop up in a drop-down. One of those is the nonprofit toolkit. So with that, go ahead and end today's webinar. Thank you all for your time. Thanks for joining us. Good luck with your Georgia Gives campaign. If you have questions, feel free to email support@mightycause.com if it is a technical question, or info@georgiagives.org if it's specific to the local campaign. Thanks and have a great day, everyone.